Everyone, Boris Musheyev here, and welcome to another tax strategy video. In this video, I will talk to you about and I will show you a real estate depreciation tax strategy. All right. I will show you how your accountant is most likely not taking advantage of this and how you can increase the depreciation amount for your real estate property. And when I say real estate property, I'm talking about any rental properties that you have in your portfolio, whether you're a business person, whether you are a real estate agent, whether you have rental properties in your portfolio. We're going to talk about number one, I'll give you a basic introduction. What is depreciation? Number two, I will show you how to make that depreciation much bigger. And number three, we're going to talk about whether it will work for you or not. And I can tell you right now in this video, I will give you kind of a big an outline whether it will work for you or not and what to do in case it doesn't. So definitely stick around. I don't want you watching this video midway like, oh great, I can do this. No, stick around till the end to find out more. Get right into it now. Before I get into the tax strategy itself, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like, save, share. What else is out there? Subscribe, right? Okay, cool. Now we got that out of the way. Let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share with you my screen. Now it's going to go dark for a minute, so don't be alarmed. I'm still here. All right, let's do this. Doing something fancy and connecting to my iPad. Those of you who know me, you know I like to do that and talk about how fancy I get. Okay, awesome. I think we're good. We're connected. Excellent. All right. So first, let's cover the introduction, right? So first of all, what is a depreciation? A depreciation is the life of an asset, right? Now, there could be different years of depreciation or different classes of assets. So residential buildings, for example, let's do this. Okay. Residential buildings, that's good. All right. They depreciated over 27 and a half years. Okay. Now, commercial properties, on the other hand, how good am I with this? Very good. Get depreciated over 39 years. Yeah, all right, mic is working. Over 39 years. Now, what does that mean? That means you take the cost of the property, deduct whatever land, allocate whatever land it was, and then divide it by either 27 and a half years if it's a residential property, right? Or 39 years if it's a commercial property. And that is your depreciation deduction. If you own real estate in your portfolio, most likely you have a depreciation on your tax return. And the way it's calculated is as follows. Let's use an example, a $500,000 property, right? It is net of land. Let's say the land was already allocated out. And let's say it's a residential property. Over 27 and a half years, that gives you approximately $18,000 deduction every year. That is your depreciation. And that's what most people who own properties take on their tax return. This is what their preparer does, okay? So that is the basics of the depreciation. Now, how can we make this number higher, right? How can we make this number higher and get a larger deduction? So there is something in the tax code that is called, drum roll, right? Cost segregation. Now, what is cost segregation? Really, it speaks for itself, right? You basically take the property and divide it and segregate it out into different classes of assets. Who said that the building itself is the building, right? There's carpenting, there's wires, there's other materials that are in there that have different types of that has different that are different classes of assets. They have different depreciation life, so to speak, based on the IRS code, right? And this is, by the way, this is directly from the IRS code. Nothing here is made up, right? So on average, based on my experience, what happens is when you buy a property, about 30% of the property has different classes of assets that are depreciated over a shorter term of life and not 27 and a half years. In this example, we're going to use just the 7 years. You know, sometimes it's 5 years, some are 7, some are 15, but generally it's between 5 and 7. We're going to stay a little conservative and use the 7, right? So what does that mean? The same property, $500,000, right? Net, where the land was already allocated, about 30% of it right? That's 150,000, has a life of 7 years. We'll do, oh, just do that. You know what? Let's do this. It gets fancy here with colors. 7 years. Okay, so that means that the remainder of the property, 350,000, is divided by 27 and a half years. Now let's do the math. Okay, let's do the math on this. So if 350, let's take out a calculator. 350 divided by 27 and a half years, that is $12,000 approximately. 12,700. Now we take 150,000 and divide by 7 years, that is 21,000. Right? Let's do that again. Divide by 7, that is 21,400. Yep. And the total is, what do we got here? 0.01343. $34,100. Now, if I did the math wrong on this, shame on me. Hopefully I'm not. I have to check again. I'm kidding. Okay, awesome. So $34,100 new depreciation deduction. Let's put that in green. Let's highlight that baby, right? New depreciation deduction, $34,110 compared to $18,000. Now, if you take the difference of this, right? Let's take that. Let's take a difference of this 18,000. That's what? About $12,000 approximately in difference in your deduction. You multiply that by your 30% bracket. That gives you $3,600 in tax savings, simply doing a cost segregation. Okay, now you might be wondering right now, Boris, you're blowing me away with this. What do you mean? What do you mean? This doesn't look conventional. And it actually is the correct way of doing it, right? When you file Form 3115, change in accounting method for the depreciation, you're actually letting the IRS know I'm switching from the incorrect method of 27 and a half years to correct method of using the cost segregation by pretty much segregating out the property. Now, this is a basic example. Obviously, this is a basic example, but your savings could be that big, and that is guaranteed because if you do this properly. Now, the cost segregation is not done by your accountants. There are different engineering companies, cost segregation companies that do this for you. Now, do not stop this video and start contacting and Googling all these companies. First of all, not all of them are great, right? Second of all, you want to make sure you work with a reputable firm. Third of all, this strategy, even though as good as it sounds, might not work for you, and I will explain to you why. Meaning to say it might not be beneficial, right? So the third part of our video, we're going to talk about, will it benefit you, right? So benefit you? I don't know. Let's see. Now, let's take this a step backward for a second. I just want to come back to this for a second, make sure that we do understand this, right? Again, the property has different classes of assets, right? Which could be depreciated over lower term of life, right? So instead of 27 and a half years, either 5 or 7 years, which gives you a much bigger depreciation deduction. Now, one thing I did miss in this video, you might be asking right now, Boris, I got the property 5 years ago. What do I do now? The answer is you can actually do a catch-up depreciation and capture everything that you have missed. And that could be like, I think we just did a tax plan for a client of ours. His catch-up is $48,000. That's right. He got the property a few years ago. It's a $330,000 property, missed out on cost segregation. And we did a catch-up. I think altogether, it's a catch-up additional depreciation deduction that in 1 year, $48,000. That came out to about $21,000 in his tax savings. Is in a higher bracket, of course, right? So let's talk about, is it going to benefit you? And here's the thing. Before we talk about the benefit, let's do the basics, right? Because we want to make sure we understand the basics. You have on your tax return, most likely, what's called an ordinary income. And that is your job, business, K1, whatever that is, right? Then if you own a real estate property and it is an income producing property, then you have what's called a passive income, right? And that could be, generally speaking, most of the time from the rental properties. Oh, why is it not writing? Or it could be from businesses that you're not actively participating, you're a passive partner, but in this case, in this example, we're just gonna keep it to rental properties. Now, what happens when you have if you're, let me take a step backwards. Generally speaking, when you have a rental loss, generally speaking, if you're not a real estate professional and your gross income, merit filing joint, is less than $150,000, then is more than $150,000, then you cannot take the rental loss. Okay, you cannot take it because it's considered a passive loss, and you're omitting, so to speak, passive loss rule limitations. If you don't have a passive income and you're not a real estate professional and you make more than 150,000 bucks, right? If you kind of meet all those criteria, generally speaking, you cannot take a rental loss deduction. So if your property is at a loss with a regular depreciation, then it does not make sense for you to do a cost segregation. Now you might be thinking, oh, wow, so what's the point of me even having my rental property? What's the point of me really doing it? Well, that's where tax strategy and planning come in. What are your plans with real estate? What is your plan with your business? How can you turn your income into a passive income so that you can generate, have passive losses and deduct it against passive income? Do the cost segregation, bigger depreciation deduction, invest in more properties, right? All of that is already part of strategy and part of planning that could work for you. So does cost segregation, this real estate tax strategy that I talked about in this video, work for everyone? For most folks, when they know what they're doing and they have a plan in motion and they know their future, they know their goal for the next 5 years, they can work around their goal, around creating a passive income to be able to take advantage of this beautiful thing called cost segregation. If you have limitations on how much you can deduct in your rental property losses, then this is probably not the best option for you. But you should work and make a plan for yourself to strive to achieve, to bringing down your passive income, your ordinary income, because you have a passive income, lower and lower and lower by taking advantage of the real estate tax strategies. I hope this video was really informative and helpful. Okay. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and book a call with us at taxplanningcall.com. My name is Boris Musheyev. We specialize in tax planning and tax strategies for our clients. Like I mentioned earlier in the call, we're in the process of completing a tax plan for one of our clients. It's got $60,000 in profits from the commercial rental building. Well, guess what? We have generated about $48,000 in catch-up deduction for his rental real estate by doing cost segregation, right? There's an engineering company that did it, but me as a tax accountant, so to speak, a tax strategist, I have to make sure it makes sense for my clients. So make sure it makes sense for you also. But if you are interested in just tax strategies overall, go ahead and book a call with us. Taxplanningcall.com should be somewhere on this video. And make sure to subscribe, save, like, share this video. Really appreciate it. Till the next time. Now we got to figure out how to stop the share and end the recording. So take care.